people that talk about things like purely authenticity and only authenticity, I think that's a very narcissistic, very self-centered, limited thinking kind of view. I have a program called Blueprint, Authenticity and Identity Level Change. I believe in authenticity. I believe that anybody who does not understand authenticity is missing out on one of the universe's profound truths, but I also think that there is a flip side to every coin. So in the Kabbalion, which is this really weird book, and I don't agree with all of it, but in the Kabbalion, they talk about every truth is about a half-truth. Repeat that after me. Every truth is about a half-truth. So in your progression, you've got to understand that there's a sort of a pendulum that goes between authenticity versus fake it till you make it, okay? And you're going to swing back and forth between the two, okay? So what is one side of the pendulum? Say that louder. Say that louder. What's the other side of the pendulum? Again? Third time. Okay, so look, simple example would be this, right? If you're purely, simple example, and then we're going to break this down massively. This is so important because you want to understand how to progress in your social skills and the way that you're coming across to people. It's like, should I fake it till I make it? Do I focus on being authentic? What do I do? This is very important. And I didn't understand this when I first learned, and it took me years to understand the nuance. So this is going to be a very hot, nuanced take for people who want to get nuanced or people who want to get a bit advanced, coming from somebody who's worked on social skills nonstop for 22 years, okay? 2 decades and 2 years. I have really had the mindset to understand this, so I'm going to kind of boil this down how I currently understand it, okay? You guys excited for this?
Yeah.
All right, awesome. How excited?
Yeah.
Good. See, the first one authentic, the second one we fake it till we make it. So, okay, so in other words, simple example, then we're going to go deeper. One of the ways that you can make yourself just come across better is by changing your physiology, right? So if I'm sitting here like this, and I'm kind of tired, and then I say, wait a minute, I look kind of lame and tired, and then I say, all right, get up, all right, what's up, like that. Well, you know, for people that are at home right now, how many days has this been running? What day is this? What day of this out of 3 is this? 3. What time in the morning is this right now?
3:30.
Okay, 3:30 in the morning. What time does this event start today? 3 p.m. So we're at hour 12 and a half, voice a bit blasted out, 3rd day, middle of the night. So how easy would it be for me to say, guys, I'm just going to be authentic. You know, it's 3 in the morning. I'm just going to sit here kind of sad. Y'all are tired. Y'all can sit here kind of sad. Well, is that us playing at our highest level?
No.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I think that, like, you know, kind of like an Eminem album, how he has that one song about his daughter, about his mom, and it kind of softens it a bit. Every so often, maybe I want to release a video. Very chill. Every so often, you know, just to really, like, hey, guys. So, yeah, it's like the end of the night, and we're all just relaxing, and we're just kind of talking like this, right? But what's already happening to you as I'm talking like this? Okay? What's going to happen if we just do the whole seminar like this?
Everybody be sleeping.
And maybe we'll get like a nice little vibe going. You know, from time to time, a nice seminar like this, right? But we don't always want to have a seminar like that, right? So authenticity is both a liberator and a prison at the same time. It is 2 sides of the coin, right? So we're going to interrupt this video with massive news, by the way. I'm sitting here in LA, and you might remember that I was in a wheelchair for half a year. How serious is the leg break I had?
It's a very serious break. We got a tib fib plateau fracture that goes up into the top of the tibial head.
So the next challenge. And I've been rehabbing my leg ever since. Well, accomplished a huge personal goal. I hiked up to the top of Runyon Canyon without assistance for the first time ever since I was in the wheelchair. This is a huge goal for me. And I want to celebrate. I just want to let you know about it. I want to celebrate you. Guess what we're doing here in LA this weekend by coincidence? This is literally no coincidence. Made it to my first top of the Runyon hike, and you are going to attend the free tour here in LA. Downtown, okay? Downtown. Gonna be renting out a conference room. It's gonna be a 3-day full event. The first day is gonna be at the conference room. The second and third day are gonna be my big mansion up in the Hollywood Hills. When I meet you in person at the free event, it's a completely free seminar. Then I'm gonna give you personal feedback on how I think you could make more money. I'm gonna give you personal feedback on your social skills, and I'm gonna give you personal feedback on your vibe. I'm gonna help you to build a network. We're gonna go out for a field trip at the end of the day. You are gonna see the most incredible event, totally for free. The kind of event that would cost $5,000 to attend. Here's the deal. These things fill up very, very fast because they're free. Once they're full, the venue's filled up. Can't take any more people. Click the link below if you want to fly into LA this weekend and attend the free event. And the next ones are going to be Phoenix, Vegas, San Diego, San Francisco. Salt Lake City, Orlando, Miami, Philadelphia, Seattle, Portland, Chicago, Honolulu. I will see you at the free event. Remember, they fill up fast because they're free. Click the link and back to the video. I'm gonna hike down. So I can choose to say, okay, wake up, and then begin actually sharing and keeping you guys locked in and focused. So that would be a simple example that anytime that you just simply change your physiology, your state is going to follow your physiology. Likewise, talk about authenticity, what about what you focus on? If I sit here and I start focusing on all the problems that we have nonstop, okay, we don't know what's gonna happen with the political landscape. We don't know what's gonna happen with AI. We don't know what's gonna happen with nuclear warfare. And I just sit here talking about this and bombing your brain out with it. What's gonna happen if we just focus on that in a segment where we could be learning? What'll happen? But would it be authentic if I talk about the fact that like there is a nuclear war threat? Would that be authentic? Yes. But would that be context appropriate when we're just here to learn and focus on being our best selves?
No.
Would it be a better time to talk about nukes?
During the nuke conference.
During the nuke conference, yeah. I actually don't really know the answer to that, but whatever that answer would be, it's not right now at 3 in the morning on a motherfucking Monday, right? So, okay, so it's not that these things aren't true or that we don't have different concerns and whatnot. It's like for example, my firstborn son, Vincent's autistic. But, if I sit here just laying it all out to you guys about the challenges that has and the concerns that I have and so on and so forth, and I just dump that to you right now, it would be me being authentic. But it's like, Owen, okay, I understand that you deal with that. I know it's a challenge. I'm here for you, bro. But I also, how many of you guys actually flew in to learn this weekend? How many of you guys actually flew in? Some of you guys flew in, right? So, if we're being honest, do all of you guys have empathy for me that I deal with a challenged son? Do you have empathy for me? Yes. Yeah. But and it's okay to be honest. How would you feel if I just spent the whole next 4 or 5 hours just talking about the challenges that we have with an autistic kid, and it's just about my life, and there's nothing that you can really do about it other than say, sorry, bro, but it's not connected to your life? How do you feel? You'd be like, okay, geez, bro, right? Damn, bro, do you want to go out for some pizza? What can we do for you here, But it's man, I flew a long way, but, okay, but, kind of puts you in an awkward position, right? So that is sort of this interesting thing where you have this balance between authenticity and fake it till you make it. Now, because look, we all have challenges, right? If all of us every one of us in here has our version of, say, a challenged son or whatever in life that we all deal with. We all have it, okay? All of us. And we're all gonna die someday, right? So there's a breadth of things that are authentic, but we have to make a choice of what's called context appropriate. So repeat that after me, context appropriate. Say it again. All right, 3:30 in the morning, we got it, okay? Or say context relevant.
Context relevant.
Again.
Context relevant.
Again.
Context relevant.
Again.
Context relevant.
Okay, so for example, let's say that you go out to a big party, right? Everybody's having a party. Well, there is your authentic self, but if everybody is there to have fun and get hype and joke around and really to leave their problems behind for a little bit, is that authentic? Yes, if you get negative or talk about your problems, but it's not context relevant, okay? So you have to have a version of yourself that is the authentic version for a party. Then there's a version of yourself that is the authentic version for maybe you're, trying to console your friend if they're having a challenge with their son, right? And both are real and both are authentic. But sometimes what happens, you get out to a place where everybody's partying and you say to yourself, well, wait a minute, I got to add some value here, okay? So that's still authentic, but what you did was, here's how it works. Basically what you do is if you change your focus and you change your physiology, change what you're focusing on and looping on in the moment and change your physiology, you'll have an authentic version of you in a different state. So, there's an authentic version of you thinking about nuclear war and challenges with your kids and all that. And there's an authentic version of you at a party having fun. And there's an authentic version of you entertaining a fucking crowd. Look, there's an authentic version of you making love to a woman. There's an authentic version of you having a conversation with your grandma. And I would hope they're a little bit different, right? Are they different? Are they different? Okay. Yeah? No? Anyone the same? Okay. So, all right, so they're different. So authenticity fundamentally comes down to figuring out what is the real authentic version of you within a context, okay? And if it is context relevant. And there is a real version of you within that context. Now, likewise, the flip side of this is sometimes you could be trying too hard, okay? So this sort of operates as a pendulum because let's say that you are feeling very, very depressed, but you try to cover over it with a fake smile. Sometimes people can feel that fake smile coming off of you. So even though it's context relevant, and you're trying to fake it till you make it, people will say, well, wait a minute, I can feel there's something off about this guy, right? So sometimes what happens is there's two different ways that you can achieve your desired state. One of them is, repeat after me, amplify your physiology. Say that.
Amplify your physiology.
The other is just sinking into absolute non-resistance. Okay, so what guys like Eckhart Tolle would teach you is if you're upset about something, but you simply accept it, stop trying to hide it, stop resisting it, stop fighting it. Oftentimes what will happen, and what Eckhart would say, I'm a huge fan of Eckhart Tolle. I've read his book a gazillion times, all his books a billion times. I've been to his conferences, love Eckhart. Basically what happens is he says it would create space around the negative emotion, right? So let's look at, there's kind of some nuances to cover here, but I think you guys are following me, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I hope so. So what you have is that on one hand, if you're in a bad mood, but you're at a party, as an adult, as a grown adult, you can say, well, look, I'm at a party. This is where we choose to come and leave that behind. We leave all that behind, and we're going to have a little bit of fun here. So you can use your mental muscle, just the strength of your brain, to say, okay, well, I'm going to make myself have a bit of fun here. What are the two ways that you make yourself have fun? We actually covered them. What'd I say?
Amplify your physiology.
Yeah, and what are the two ways you do that? Shift your focus, shift your physiology, right? In other words, if I'm sitting here and I'm depressed, and I'm like this, and I get up, maybe it's pull back your shoulders, maybe it could be moving, maybe it could be beginning to initiate conversations, and you take so much action, it overwhelms the thinking mind. Okay, you guys ever heard that sentence from me before, maybe once or twice?
Yeah.
Take so much action, say it.
Take so much action.
You overwhelm the thinking mind. So look, sometimes you're in a rough mood. You say, all right, come on, man, let's go. I'm not dicking around here all day. You know, F this, forget it, let's go. So you hop up and you start engaging with people. You start saying hi to people. You start making yourself laugh. And basically what you do is, you begin to start talking to absolutely everybody, which then gets you in a state of motion, so it shifts your physiology. But the other really cool thing is you also shift what you focus on. So have you ever heard me say that after every interaction, as an exercise, doesn't mean you have to always do this the rest of your life, but as an exercise, do you guys remember what you say after an interaction? Louder. 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 Look, how do you even feel now just yelling that? Right? You know, it's the middle of the night. It's the middle of the night after a 50-hour fucking seminar. But how do you feel if you yell that? Right? So you can break your authentic tiredness gets broken by shifting your focus and by yelling a bit. Okay? So I say to say that in your own mind, but you could yell it in theory for fun, I guess. So I've actually done little jokes where I say, but you see my point. Okay. So what happens is that one way to do it is you say, I'm going to go and I'm going to say hi to everybody. 1,000 out of 10. Who the fuck would have the balls to do that? And then you find something hilarious about it, which means that you're actively controlling your physiology and you're actively controlling your what? Focus. You're controlling your state via what? Focus. So you're controlling your physiology, you're controlling your focus, which amplifies your state. Okay? So people who have incredible state control simply realize, as a basic muscle, okay, I feel like crap right now. Get up, focus on the positive, move your body, and get in state. Look, I'm sitting here, to be honest with you, exhausted out of my fucking mind, but if I start to shift my focus, shift my physiology, I can have half decent energy even in the middle of the night at the end of a long seminar. Okay? This for me is probably lower than day one, but it's significantly higher than the average person in this position. And then you just accept it and you go from there. So, and don't be like, well, I'm not quite as where I was on day one at the start. Okay? The other thing you could do, but I didn't do, is caffeine. That's another way you could also amplify your state. Yeah. Sometimes I almost never ever drink caffeine. All it takes for me is not even a full cup, but half a cup of green tea. And I don't even fuck physiology, fuck focus. Just say the green tea, that's going to get you where you need to go to. But that only works because I almost never drink caffeine. So, and then if I shift focus and physiology on caffeine, it's like I'm on Coke. I never did Coke, but I would assume it's like I'm on Coke. So, I don't know, I thought that was funnier than you guys gave credit. But anyway, okay, so, that was good. Okay, so shift focus, shift physiology. But what you'll sometimes find is that you kind of have this kind of energy to it. And you're like, I'm trying to shift my focus, I'm trying to shift my physiology. It's not working. It's just, I can't, I'm just not quite getting it where I want to. I feel like I look like this faking kind of guy. So then what you do is you go, okay, well, I've tried shifting focus physiology. That's not going to work. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try falling into it and go into non-resistance. And what will happen is I'll do exercises with guys that are working on their social skills or women. I take them out and I get everybody chatting. And what happens is I say, look, don't try at all. Whatever you're feeling, I want you to sink into absolute alignment in your thoughts, words, and actions, aka congruence. Say the words alignment, in thoughts, words, actions, equals congruence. Okay, congruence and alignment in your thoughts, words, and actions. So you want to think about this as this ever-present balance between range of expression and, I guess I think like a word of like depth of authenticity, or like groundedness, or like the solidity and density of your congruence. Does that make sense? I'm kind of coming up with words here, right? Like you think about like a range of expression, it's being stretched out, a lot of nice expression, versus this kind of grounded density alignment of a powerful, like a rock congruence. What I'd encourage you guys to do is look up really great speakers that have incredible range of expression, and they're able to use there's different effects that someone who uses their voice with great range of expression or musicality will use, right? Everything from shifting cadence, projection, shotgun, pow, 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 staccato, like that, stretch, right? Shotgun, staccato, stretch, projection, up and down, range of expression, which is very captivating. Add in some jokes, add in a bit of improvised humor, a little bit of pushing and pulling, a bit of quirkiness, maybe some cool stories, some emotions. That's a great range of expression. But there's actually speakers out there that are not range of expression-based speakers. They are congruence-based speakers. Eckhart Tolle would be one, right? Eckhart Tolle will sit there, and he'll walk in the room dead quiet. And everybody's like, oh, it's Eckhart. I love all this. It's so theatrical. Right? He fronts like he's not theatrical, but it's absolute theater. it really is. And just who the guy is, but it's just hilarious. So he comes in, and rather than projecting his energy on the audience, he's so grounded that almost like this black hole, he's pulling the attention. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm going bang, 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 bang on you guys right now. Now, I know how to do this, and I have speeches where I do this. I had this one speech where you saw me at the Biltmore, and I was talking about Anderson Cooper, and that was a very congruent speech where I was very calm, but I just held the energy, not like a burning brush fire, but like a white, hot, searing coal. So in other words, the range of expression-based communication is more like this burning brush fire, like a bonfire that you're dumping logs on. But what happens often as you dump the logs on the fire? Goes out. You get a bright, hot, burning coal. Likewise, a lot of the time when you go out, if you kind of just force your focus and force your physiology, and you're loud and you're brash, that can kickstart your night, but it's really crazy and it's so addicting. By the end of the night, it's like it's really, really weird how apt this metaphor is. It's crazy how on point this metaphor is, but it really is exactly like this. It's freaky, but you'll feel it and you'll love it. If you just keep kind of getting yourself in emotion, it's almost like by the end of the night, you've been throwing logs in a fire. They've been burned into this white hot searing coal. And by the end of the night, like I can't even do it like this right now, but you're almost just like, right? And they're like, right? Like you do nothing. Like you're like, and they're just like, then they just run over and tackle you. And you're like, whoa, right? And it's just awesome. Whoever's been out with me on a training, and you've seen it where I'm doing almost nothing, and I'm just drawing a lot of attention. Any of you guys been out with me in the field? Okay, have you ever seen me doing this? Yeah. Okay, how do you describe it? Stand up for a second. How do you describe it to the audience when I'm doing absolutely nothing, and yet I'm just drawing people in? How do you describe it?
Magical.
I'll just leave it right there. I'll take it. Yeah, awesome. Okay, so yeah, got to get you guys to come hit up the clubs with me sometime. But the point being is when I'm out, I'll get to the point. I paid him. He's a plant. So, So what'll happen is, but you'll see this, like because you might see me around like 9 or 10, and I'm just engaging. I'm funny. I'm loud. I'm brash. But by around 12:31, it's literally you're literally just like, and it's like all the things that you would have done with all your humor just happens, and because we have mirror neurons, okay? We have mirror neurons, and by the law of state transference, they can feel what you feel. So if you've been in this state of absolute momentum the whole night, it's almost like your mind is in this permanent state of light level orgasm. Like you get such a high from just having fun all night. Again, that's what a party's meant to do. It's meant to give you kind of a natural high. Then people pollute that with a real high, right? But a natural high is actually the real high. So what happens is that you get like this, and people just feel it off you, and your eyes get so congruent, and they're so piercing, and you feel that you're in that place. And when you're in that place, like momentum is money. Repeat that after me. Momentum is money. So in other words, like if I'm at a point where I've been chatting with people for 2-3 hours, I understand that I view it like I've been throwing logs onto a fire. I now have the white hot searing coal, and I'm going to be able to meet a higher caliber person with less effort. So if I value my time at X amount of dollars per night, in my mind, I'm like, basically, I could have made money staying at home. I chose to come out here and build momentum. It cost me X amount of dollars. Well, then momentum's money. Momentum is literally money. It took me time to get into momentum like this. So as a result, I'm like, man, we're gonna really put the gas down and make something happen right now because I know that I'm in a high state of momentum. So if you know that you're in a state of momentum, fucking ride it, baby. I mean, you're gonna walk on fucking water, okay? If you're in that kind of social momentum. So you're gonna walk on water, amazing things are gonna happen. So recognize that. By the way, you have what's called micro momentum and macro momentum. Could you guys repeat that after me?
Micro momentum and macro momentum.
Okay, so micro momentum is momentum within a night. These are just nerd terms that we come up with. It's not official. We're just nerds, so we like to pretend that we have official terms. We just made them up. Micro momentum is momentum within a night that you establish within a night. Macro momentum is a momentum that is established if you go out every night for a period of time. Simple example would be, sometimes I shoot these like long video series that I put out in vlog format outside, and I'll be on the kind of a road trip, right? And I have this one that I recently was shooting that I'm like 10 videos in, and I'm in this massive roll of momentum, but then I had to take a couple weeks off, and then I'm getting ready to go shoot it again right now, and I'm like, oh man, like there was all these threads that I had going, like in the series, and like if I would have just, when I got back to LA, would have just kind of finished out the last 4 or 5 videos in the series, I could have knocked it out in like a day and a half. But instead I waited, and now I'm gonna have to go and like rewatch the series and put myself back in that state of mind and remember all the context and kind of re-internalize the energy of the series and remember what the hell I was talking about. I'm literally gonna lose 2 to 3 days just to remember what I was talking about and probably get a worse outcome on the later videos in the series. If I'm being, I hate to be negative, but it's probably true. Still be awesome, but could have been that much better if I would have kept the gas down. Still be great, you know, be awesome, right? Not as good as it could be, still gonna be great, but could have been elite. So it'll still be elite, but the point is it'll be less elite. So point being is like, if we would have just kept the gas down and just finished the damn thing out, we could have saved time, we could have saved energy, it would have been higher quality. Well, the same goes for, if you've been out for 4 nights in a row socializing, let's see what happens the 5th night, baby. You know, right? So momentum is money. Micro momentum is money, and macro momentum is money, because when you're in that state of momentum, like look, a lot of guys, for example, will go out Thursday, Friday, Saturday, but we often tell people, be social for 20, 30 minutes on Sunday, 20, 30 minutes Monday, 20, 30 minutes Tuesday, 20, 30 minutes Wednesday. Though you're not gonna make a ton of progress in your social skills those days, but you can just do a maintenance of momentum so that when Thursday hits, you can pick up where you left off the last Saturday night. We often tell people to do that. And it really does work like magic, because otherwise what often happens is then you go back to being not as much in momentum Thursday, then you rebuild it really well Friday, then you crush it Saturday, and then Thursday you're not quite as good again. Now, later in your learning curve, you'll get to the point where it's weird, but in my personal journey, my momentum now sustains. I literally could take months off often from going out, and I pick up right where I left off and come back stronger. So it only took me, however long it took to internalize that. But for most people that are new, when socializing is outside your comfort zone, it's kind of scary. You're not likely to have this like profound identity shift, like, right when you start. It could happen. I'm not saying it could happen. Could happen. Who knows, right? If it does, it does. Don't let me hold you back. If you're like, wait, I feel like I don't even need to go out 20 minutes and you're just killing it, and that's not you, then go with it. But for a lot of people, I'd rather give that instruction so they at least have a framework and a template to go off of, okay? I think there's a thing in poker where they call it like game perfect or something. Like, do you guys, any poker players here? It's called game perfect or something, where it's like the template of how you play poker. but once you know the rules, you can break the rules. So there's the general template, then later once you know the template, you can break all the rules, right? So if you know how to just maintain momentum and feed it, later you may no longer need to. But for now, just get a sense of what I'm saying and see if it benefits you. If it does, use it. If not, don't worry about it. But that's just what I found. That's what most of my people that I've worked with have found. Now, later, you'll get to that point of permanent momentum when you've had an absolute rooted identity level shift, but that comes harder for some people than others. That's all that I would say, but may come easy, we'll see. Okay, now from there, recognizing that momentum is money, you have micro momentum, you have macro momentum. Like I said, if you're trying to initiate momentum at the beginning of your experience, and you do that by shifting focus and physiology, and that's not working, what I'll say is don't try at all. And it's actually a shocker for a lot of people who have been in the paradigm for a long time of like, build that momentum, take action, control my focus, take so much action I shut off the thinking mind, and suddenly you tell them, do the opposite. And they're like, wait a minute, what? I'm like, no, do the complete opposite. They're like, no way, what do you mean the opposite? I go, don't try at all. Go say hi to someone, no good energy, just own exactly where you're at. Own it fully and completely. And you'll find you can get a great result doing that too. And what's interesting is that you will feel your congruence click in and lock in at some point of the night with whatever energy you chose to feed. It's a weird feeling, okay? So if you choose to feed a higher energy, at some point of the night, you'll usually lock into that energy and you'll kind of ride that wave. It's like you built a wave and you just surf this higher energy wave. But if you build this kind of congruence base, perhaps a more chill wave, but it's just like this nice Waikiki kind of cruising like little wave, you'll find that partway through the night, you just start cruising. You're like, whoa, I'm cruising. Like, woo, here I go, right? I'm chill. Hey, what's up? Hi, and you just got to cruise that. Only downside of the chill social skills is that when someone who's funnier than you comes in your interaction, they often steal the interaction. That's a downside to it, because you're too committed to being chill. So you have to learn how to shift course when needed. But likewise, what's the biggest problem with the more high energy? You look like you're trying too hard. So both have their kind of benefits and limitations. They both do, okay? But what I've generally found is that if I can here's the rub of this whole talk. If I can put part of my time into expanding my range of expression, and if I can put part of my time into becoming more grounded and congruent, I will get the benefits of both. So when I'm public speaking, again, this is like, later speech, I'm a little blasted. This is me kind of at the end, kind of unloading the clip here, right? But me at my best, I am both hilarious, high energy, captivating, and yet calm. Calm. When you guys even hear, they can't tell this at home. How loud is my voice projecting in your guys' speaking space right now?
Very loud.
So I'm speaking in a way that's hitting you like I'm yelling, but I'm not really having to use that much power to do it, right? So it's bam, but calm. Now again, my voice is a little bit thrashed out, but you guys probably think back to day one when I'm speaking kind of like this and the voice is booming and bouncing off the walls. And yet I'm relatively calm. A lot of people ask why I speak without speakers most of the time. It's because I'm trying to demo that as a metaphor, both for the volume that you'll need when you're out socializing, but also I do my speeches at free events, free associatively and improvise with no script, because I want to show you how to go out and meet people improvisationally without a script. So do you guys see out here, like I don't have a PowerPoint to teach you this? I'm doing it without a script. Yeah. So I'm doing that as a metaphor so that when you go out and socialize, you don't need a script. I'm using my voice and not using speakers because when you go out, not only will you not have speakers, there's going to be speakers powering over you. I mean, this would be easy when you're out compared to out with speakers, right? Speakers is harder. So who would I be to always use speakers all the time or to have a PowerPoint when I'm trying to teach you to talk over other people's music and to not have anything prepared, right? So that's why I try to do this improvisationally, okay? But I have general frameworks that I know, and that's how I teach it. I'm doing this by staying not in a control muscle, but using a release muscle. I have the knowledge in my mind. I am getting out of its way, and it's downloading to you. That's the speaking style that I'm showing you, okay? It's a very unique speaking style. You guys ever seen somebody able to like just walk up to the front of a room and do kind of like a speech that almost looks like a PowerPoint, but without PowerPoint? You ever seen that before?
No.
It's unusual, right? Some people perhaps, but it's kind of unusual. That's real hardcore orator skills, real gangster public speaking skills is when you can walk up off the dome, make a speech. Next level is if you say, give me your best take in 45 seconds. Boom, exactly 45 seconds. Give me your best take in 38 seconds. Boom, can do it in 38 seconds. And I can do weird shit like that. It's freaky. Oh yeah, I've had people tee me up. They're like, you got 36 seconds here. The topic is cake. Go. And I'm like, boom. And they're like, people are jaw dropped. That's public speaking skills, okay? You get that just from practice. And you get that because you have a deep knowing that's in there and you need to get out of its way. And again, let's take that point. When we say words like be yourself, let's talk about authenticity or be yourself. That is what be yourself actually means. It is the person who you become when you get completely out of your own way. But here's the thing. When you get out of your own way, what happens in a perfect world is you have that Eckhart Tolle space around the negativity. That space around the negativity dissolves the negativity, which means that when you're being yourself, you're happy. When you're being yourself, you're improvisational. When you're being yourself, you're unfiltered. When you're being yourself, you share. When you're being yourself, you have natural comedy. When you're being yourself, you have natural stories. So when people say be yourself, that's a little bit of a bullshit line because what be yourself just means is be world class. Because you are world class if you got out of your own way. But it only takes you like a decade to learn how to get out of your own way. Right? I mean, it only took me 22 years to learn this much how to get out of my own damn way, right? So when a guy like me comes up and says, you know what I learned over the years, guys? You know what I learned? At the end of the day, it's just about being yourself, man. And then somebody who's never done public speaking or never worked on their social skills, they hear that, they go, so that means I get to be like introverted, negative, have nothing to say. No, when you be yourself, you're extroverted, positive, present, have everything to say. So it doesn't make any sense, right? So things like be yourself are real to the extent that underneath you blocking yourself, there is a charismatic, positive, hilarious storyteller, socializing dynamo under all that blockage. But unless you like in the same way, like meditate and don't have a thought for 45 minutes straight. Go. That's a skill. That is a learned skill. You can meditate and barely have a thought for an hour if you're a meditator. You go to something like Vipassana, where they kind of make you sit down for 10 days and meditate. By the 9th or 10th day, you'll be present the whole day. No problem. But that's because you practice your release muscle. When people say be yourself, it's absolutely fucking true. But yourself is someone with a massive vocal projection, an incredible sense of humor, improvisational wit, powerful voice, totally positive, no negativity whatsoever. That's you. It doesn't mean be yourself as in you just get to be introverted, you're negative, you have nothing to say, and then you think that everyone's going to get on their knees to worship you. Right? Like, you know what I realized? I kind of just depressed, negative person with nothing to say, and I got paid millions of dollars and my dating roster's stacked all week. That's not reality, right? People don't pay, like the norm is the mass of people that are negative and boring. That doesn't stand out. How would you get paid for that? That's something that a friend could tolerate from you because they love you, but that is your inherent value in the eyes of God is not the same thing as your value in the marketplace, right? They're two very different things. In the eyes of God, you're perfect as you are. In the eyes of the marketplace, depends, right? Depends on scarcity, depends on unique value, depends on supply and demand, depends on what somebody can give, you know. You have your value in the eyes of God as inherently perfect now, and then you have who you can become via your co-creation with God in what you built. Now this gets even weirder, and here's why. Because if you say to yourself, well, I don't have value in the marketplace, I have to work to make myself better, okay, so you say that, now you're trying and trying and trying, but what happens when you try? Sometimes you look like you're trying too hard. But if you just say, I am perfect now in the eyes of God, and that makes me perfect, you dissolve the resistance, become charismatic, and then you become perfect. You see this? Because you can manually learn social skills. You can manually learn public speaking. You can manually learn vocal projection. But sometimes if you just accept where you're at, and don't try to vocal project, and don't try to be funny, and don't try to be anything, all that comes out. Or you go in this kind of laser eye contact chill mode, like I was talking about with the white hot burning coal, and then you get in that mode, and then you do less, but you're doing less, and everybody loves you. But that thing where you do less, it comes largely from this sort of energy transfer. So the doing less thing only works when you've got this amazing energy, and then you're just like, and you have this incredible energy coming out of you. But if you're just depressed and you just go, that's different from, right? So Frederick Dawson, he says, or maybe, I can't remember if it's David R. Hawkins or Frederick Dawson, these like levels of energies books, Power versus Force. They say that a homeless person is in rags. A guy who's more like on his entrepreneurial journey has like, jewelry or like bling. And an enlightened person has white rags. So ironically, the person who's enlightened looks remarkably, freakishly like a homeless person, right? It's like I have a giant beard, but it's trimmed. I have a homeless beard that's trimmed. So I'm almost like a homeless person, but slightly different. And then I wind up looking like someone who just doesn't have a boss and a traveling playboy. So a traveling playboy and a homeless person, like a playboy who just, a jet-setting playboy versus a homeless person look almost the same. An enlightened person and a homeless person look almost the same, right? So in other words, you can just be the chill version of yourself when you're just so present, and you're like, hi there. And the presence and the transfer of present energy is driving the interaction for you. It's creating the attraction for you. It's creating the charisma for you with less. So what I always say is that, first of all, recognize where you are. If you're at that point where you have that energy and you don't need to do anything, stop. You'll see me out. Look, you'll see me some nights out where I'm going off. Like I am funny, I am wild, I am brash, I am crazy. I'm running the whole joint. I'm running the whole venue. Probably 6-7 times out of 10 I go out, I just take over the venue. Then other times you'll see me out kind of quiet, chill, and I just like see who I don't want to talk to. They just jump right over. And things happen quick. You're like, how did that happen that quick? Like that is quick, bro. Like what just happened? Like I do not know what I just saw. That is crazy quick. Likewise, sometimes when you're out, you're talking to someone and some other guy who's in that mode comes up, you're in trouble. You know what I mean? You're in freaking trouble, right? You'll know. You're like, oh no, it's the white hot steering cold, no, right? And then say goodbye to whoever you're talking to. So that can happen too. That's why you got to be a pro. There's also counter keto to that, but that's another video. So yeah, there's ways. You can like literally flip and like you can take any energy, transmute it, flip it back. That's why I love this stuff. It's so fun. It's such a fun hobby, and it's fun to compete. I love all of it. Okay, so what I try to do is I do specific focus exercises on range of expression, and I do specific focus exercises on release and congruence. So range of expression could be being loud, singing, being brash, joking, storytelling. Release could be things like meditation, actual release work, like in Transformation Mastery and other programs, going to the sauna, breath work, but also going out and just being fully yourself. So both are great, right? And so what I'll do is when I get into even a seminar room, sometimes I come in if I'm feeling a bit tired, because I gotta know how to be a pro every time. Like I gotta know how to slay it every damn time. Because who here thinks they travel the furthest to be here? Who here traveled the furthest? I know there's a guy from Australia. How far do you travel from?
Australia.
Australia. So how many hours do you travel to be here?
Like more than 24 hours.
Okay, so like how would you feel if you came, but then it was just my off weekend?
Very disappointing.
Yeah, it's disappointing, right? So, okay, who else traveled from far? How far do you travel from?
Estonia.
Estonia, okay. Where are you from?
Me?
Yeah, Portugal. Okay. So you come from Estonia, you come from Portugal, you come from Australia. And I'm like, well, normally the event's really cool, but I don't know, this just was kind of my lesser showings, right? You're like, bro, I didn't fly from Australia to hear this is one of your lesser showings. Like, I want to see the thing from the video.
Exactly.
Right? Let's do the video thing, Owen, right? And even worse is when I do social skills trainings live in the field and people come out, and I became obsessed with this because I knew that I had results, but what would happen is sometimes people would comment when I was earlier in my career I charge a little less to be fair. But when it was earlier in my career, I might have like off nights when I'm trying to teach, and I'm like, man, like I know I'm good, but I know I got the results, but like, man, I just wish I didn't have an off night, and that haunted me. And if I had an off weekend, luckily, always out of 3 nights, I had at least 1 great night. I never had 3 bad nights in a row. So always they got to see the sauce, you know, give them the sauce. But they got to see me give them the sauce. But I want to be consistent. So I had to kind of find all these different ways to train my brain to be consistent, to know that, like, you know, whether, you know, back in the day we used to have media come see what we're doing. They actually like what we did back then, okay, before all this crazy stuff. So, you know, we'd have media come out and they'd want to see us, and they were actually like optimistic and encouraging, or, you know, students would come, or we'd be doing public speaking. Man, I've had times where there's celebrities in the audience, guys that might do multi-million-dollar deals in the audience. I remember one time in 2000, maybe 3 or 4, before social media, the single biggest men's website was AskTheMen.com. And the head of Ask the Men was in the audience. He's like, yeah, I'm going to give you a multi-million-dollar deal. There's kind of a funny story to how I ended that. I don't know if some of you guys know it, but the point being was, at the time, the hair gel story, but at the time, they started asking me to do videos, and we're talking about how great hair gel could help. So I took a giant bottle of hair gel, squirted in my hand, rubbed it all through my hair, dripping in hair gel, and ran through the streets doing my thing. Hilariously, though, that's why I'm so on point, is that I can do my thing while drenched in hair gel. That's how I do them on point. But knowing that he was in the audience, and I remember he came to me, he said, you're the best speaker I've ever seen. And that was me in 2003. That was me over 20 years ago. I said, I've never seen a speaker like you. And I was able to kill it with him in the audience. Likewise, maybe there's someone who you're romantically interested in, and it's always that person that you really like that you might mess up. So again, you've got to understand how to be clutch. So what I'm showing you guys is how to be deeply, deeply clutch. Timothy S. Grover, he would say you have what he calls it a cooler, closer, and cleaner. Okay, and the cleaner is the person that like just gets the job done, cleans up the mess no matter what, right? Well, what I'm trying to show you here is on that off day when you can't figure out how to get in gear, these are the different ways and sort of paths that you can take to find your zone. Okay, I'm trying to force it, can't find my zone. Okay, I gotta lay back. Okay, I'm finding my zone back here. Kobe Bryant, when he was in Game 7 in his 5th championship against the Boston Celtics, he only shot, I think it was 6 for 24. And Phil Jackson, his coach, who also coached Michael Jordan, he said, Kobe just wants it too much, right? So oftentimes what they say when a team loses is, oh, they didn't try hard enough. Oh, they didn't have a sense of urgency. Say that word, sense of urgency.
Sense of urgency.
Which is good, which is what you want. But Kobe Bryant, Game 7 against the Boston Celtics, who had beaten him 2 years earlier, he doesn't lack sense of urgency, guys. Kobe's problem is he wants it too much. Do any of you guys feel like you're not lacking sense of urgency, but sometimes maybe you just want it a bit too much? What happens when you want it a bit too much? Here's what, get desperate. Here's what I think happens, okay? If I focus on the crowd and not myself, I'm shooting energy at the crowd and at the imagined crowd through the camera. What's up from here? Say hi to everybody at home. Watching this at home, by the way, guys. Say hi to everybody. Hey! What's up? Watching from home. Time capsule. So, what year is it, guys? Say the year.
2024.
Right? They'll be watching this in 1,000 years from now, like, whoa. So, okay. So, by they I mean space aliens and AI overlords. Okay, so what you have is, if I shoot the energy out at you, all that energy doesn't start to overflow and get overwhelmed in me. But if I start thinking how I look, how do I look? How am I looking right now? Where am I shooting the energy?
Into yourself.
And then what happens? You get too much energy and you overflow with it, and then you jam up, right? You're doing a sales call. You want that sales call. Man, I had a couple hot leads, and a bunch of them, like, I thought I had it, I didn't have it. Man, I got to get a paycheck this month. Fuck, right? And it's like you start thinking about you. I need it. You start shooting all that energy in yourself. You get an overwhelmed energy, and people can sense something's off. Instead, what you do is you got to look at the crowd, look at who you're talking to, and think how to serve them. How do I add value to you? And again, it's a paradox, because by adding value to you, I'm going to close you. So do you see how it's a paradox, right? Yeah. So it's like, make it truly about the client, but that's also how you become paid, right? Make it truly about serving that other person, but that's how you close the deal, right? Truly want nothing when you talk to that person that you're into when you're out, but that's how they become your significant other. You see what I'm saying, right? Be ready to walk away, but knowing that that's going to absolutely cause them to come home with you, right? So do you see how these are sort of paradoxes where, like, say there's somebody you're very attracted to. You know damn well that you have no standards, but you've got to pretend. You know what I mean, right? Have standards. It's sort of a paradox where you've got to get yourself to the point where you're like, you know what, looks are not enough. Gotta have personality. And I don't know if I like what I'm seeing, which then allows them to say, wait, I want to step into this situation and I want to put in my effort too. So we can both put in effort, not just you chasing me, which makes them like you, right? Cause them to like you. So these are sort of paradoxes where, you know, you catch me on one day and you're like, Owen, do you care about anything other than looks? And I'm like, bro, of course I do. Like, I don't want negative energy around me. You got to have good energy. But hey, guys, you know, sometimes just like that right person walks by and you're like, fuck good energy, okay? I just want this. So, you know, and we all have, every human, and women too, we all have that paradox, right? We all have that paradoxical nature. So, you know, a lot of it is, you call it intent, and the other side is freedom from outcome. You guys ever heard me talk about that? I say intent plus freedom from outcome. So in other words, what I want you guys to feel from this speech is that I'm doing a 10 out of 10 best job that I have in me to do a great job for you, but that paradoxically, I could walk out of here and go eat a hamburger and not give a fuck. You get that energy?
Yes. Yeah.
Like, I'm giving my best effort to self-amuse, to help you out. And then when we're done, I'm getting a burger. Get the fuck out of here. Good night. Good night, guys. You see, right? It's like that's got to be the vibe, right? Are you guys seeing? It's like learning how to be an energy master with your communication. It's paradoxes. Like I said, range of expression, congruence, massive intent, high sense of urgency, total Zen and freedom from outcome. And you're exercising these muscles at the same time. So I am paradoxically giving all my last, 4 a.m. punch, but I'm meditating and I'm funneling and fueling detachment and fueling freedom from outcome into that punch. So I don't know how to box, but I've heard, probably not quite right, that when you punch, you don't just go like that, but you got to use your whole body, right? Anyone here box? Anyone box? Oh, you could show me here. Pop up here. So, right, so show me like what an ungrounded kind of flimsy punch looks like, and then show me what a grounded punch would look like, just as like a simple example.
Cross?
Just the difference between like that versus grounded from like the toes and up.
So ungrounded, that, and then grounded. Like that.
See that guy? Look, yeah. Here, turn side. Show them this way so they at home and the camera they can see it. Show ungrounded. Show even like your best ungrounded, but ungrounded. Yeah, and then show grounded. Yeah, show the other side too.
Like that.
Yeah. You guys see the difference?
No.
Okay, give him a hand to that. Thank you. Yeah, that's awesome. What's your Instagram, by the way?
Gabe the Babe MMA.
Gabe the Babe MMA. Gabe the Babe MMA. GABE MMA. Awesome. Give him a follow, guys. Follow Gabe the Babe MMA. Awesome. Yeah. So in other words, what I'm saying is that is the difference, right? Someone who just has range of expression, but they're not congruent, they're just doing this flimsy punch. But at the same time, if you're just grounded with no range of expression, it's almost like you're doing the foot thing, but then there's no punch. To be fair, that's not a perfect analogy because you could frankly just sort of win doing either, but it's sort of like an approximate analogy, if you see what I'm saying here, okay? So last thing I'm going to say, this will be the last piece here, I think it's kind of interesting. Some of these great profound truths that we learn, such as love will conquer all, or things like money doesn't matter, or things like be yourself, they're true and not true at the same time because we live in a dualistic reality. We have the dimension of heaven and we have the dimension of earth. We have the energetic dimension, we have the physical dimension. So money doesn't matter within the energetic dimension of life is about beauty, we will die. In a way of looking at it, a beautiful sunset is worth more than a Lamborghini. But in the market, the Lambo is worth more than the motherfucking sunset, okay? You see where I'm going with this? Mm-hmm. Right? It's like, you can't sell the sunset, but you can sell the Lamborghini. Mm-hmm. So the sunset is more ultimately valuable, but the Lamborghini is more relatively valuable in the market, okay? So be yourself. Be yourself is real, from that highest position of absolute congruence and absolute release, which will then funnel you with positive energy because you're in the way of God. You see what I'm saying, right? But people take be yourself as just be your damn negative self and complain, right? But that said, it's even more confusing because sometimes if you just complain, you'd release and then you'd be happy. See, so it's like, what is it, right? So again, when you're great on stage or when you're great in the clutch, you're like, wait a minute, I need to complain right now. Okay, I'm gonna go talk to my buddy in private and complain, and then I'm gonna come out here happy. Or maybe even come out and you're just like so pissed, and you're like, I'm so pissed. I had such a bad day. And just in saying it, you own it, and then you feel so good, and then you go in a fucking awesome speech, right? And maybe one speech out of 10, you could just make it about how much life sucks. And as long as people know that's not who you are, but it was a cool share, then maybe that could be kind of cool. But it can't be you all the time, right? That can't be like just what you do. To be honest, like a similar one is most guys that do YouTube videos, at some point, if you have a regular YouTube video release, you're so tired and you put out a video called, look at me guys, I put out a video when I'm tired. That was sort of an epiphany that I had. So back when I was new on YouTube, on social media, I was maybe like, 100 videos in, and it was the most tired night of my life. And I made this video called, I can still do a video when I'm tired. And people loved it. Problem was, I'm tired quite often. And once I put out 3 or 4 of those, by the 4th one, people are like, why don't you just go to bed? See, right? So it's like, so people don't mind to share, but it can't just be like who you become. It can't just be, like just go to bed, bro. So it's, like hearing Eminem like crying about like how he misses his daughter when he's on the road could be good for one song out of 17. But if the whole album is just him saying he misses his daughter, it's like, fly back to Detroit. Fly back to Detroit. Like, why do you do this? Like, this is weird. This is not like a cool moment, like to shift the flavor up a little bit, right? Shift the energy in a creative way. This is just weird. Just go see your daughter. Go back to Detroit. So that's another element to it too. So be yourself is true in this kind of universal, profound sense of like, of God type reality, but in regular life, people, the marketplace, people don't just want to deal with some little bitch. Likewise, but again, you can go there a bit to release it and then get back in energy. Likewise, love will conquer all. Well, what does that mean? Look, a bear is going to come eat you, and you're like, I love you. I love the bear. You're going to die. So in the physical world, that's true. But in the world of absolutes, in the world of God, it's a creation of God. It's actually very beautiful. To be fair, when looked upon from a creation of God perspective, an insect could be beautiful, a poisonous snake could be beautiful, a virus under a microscope could be beautiful, a slug could be beautiful, like a disgusting, nasty, slimy creature could be beautiful. It's like it's part of Earth's ecosystem. I mean, relative to the endless void of space, it's kind of beautiful. Even the alien from like the movie Aliens could be viewed as beautiful, when from an absolute sense. But in a regular world, that alien's about to fucking suck your face off and blow your chest out and eat you and kill you. So it's not beautiful in the physical world, but it could be beautiful in this world of absolutes. Okay. So when people say like everything will work out for the good, like God, it is part of God's plan that nothing is against you and everything is for you and no weapon can be formed against you. Well, that's true in the sense that your soul will, like after your body is brutally ripped apart and tortured, your soul will go on. But that doesn't stop you from being in brutal torture. People think like, oh, everything works out for me. That doesn't automatically mean that if you're lazy, that you don't die. That doesn't mean that if you're lazy, that you don't, run out of money and live in the streets. Not everything is, like everything is for your good in the sense that it's here to torture you and hurt you to give your soul a profound lesson that would add up to something over the next 100,000 years of your soul's journey. But that doesn't mean that you just get to leave your car with the keys in it, someone doesn't steal it. Okay? My friend Ty Lopez, he says people should stop saying, whatever kills you doesn't make you stronger, or his was, like basically when bad things happen, you get stronger. He said rather a better attitude would be, this bad thing happened, and what am I going to do with it? Because if you keep saying, what kills you, whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger, you're just going to keep letting bad things happen, thinking that you're on this divine mission, this like narcissistic mission that you make all these mistakes, you're like, it's better. That's not true. Reality is, you wait too long to have kids, you'll have no kids. You wait too long to build your business, you're probably not going to build a business. Oh, well, Colonel Sanders did it when he's 65. You're not motherfucking Colonel Sanders. Could happen, but you shouldn't count on it. You should go with what's just in your, like what makes sense as being most likely to work. So truths like be yourself, love will conquer all, it's all happening for the good. These are absolute truths that from a certain dimension are real, but don't always add up in the marketplace itself, okay? Somebody makes their new brand of lemonade that sucks because they like sneezing in it, but their authentic expression sneeze the motherfucking lemonade. It's like, bro, that's really interesting. I'm not buying it, okay? Likewise, you know, people, you go to a party because you want to have fun. Someone's super negative. It's an authentic expression of who they are, but it's not context relevant. It's not relative to what we're doing here. It's like, come on, don't make it about you. Engage the group. Make it about the group. Don't make it about you. If you're negative at a party, who are you making that about? You. Yeah, you're making that about yourself. You're not engaging the group. That's very selfish, which is a very black hole type of energy. So, likewise, I've done things like tell people, I want you to stop being fake. I want you to be authentic. Let it out. But I'll also sometimes flip around and say, no, fuck authentic confidence. It's all about fake confidence. Why do I do that? Because what can sometimes happen is someone gets lost in the weeds of all this authenticity stuff. Do you see how many weeds there are here to sort through for someone new? I get it, but I've done this over 2 decades. But someone who's new, you tell them be authentic, they just don't take action at all. Well, I don't feel like saying hi. I don't feel like being positive. So if you say to them, no, fake it till you make it, maybe they shift their physiology. Maybe they shift their focus. They start getting results. But this is the pendulum of progress. And this key point, because this is like drinking water from a fire hose here. This is a very, very big takeaway. Can everybody focus on the takeaway? Yeah. Okay, that's very, very key. Yeah. So big walkaway takeaway. And I'll probably wrap on this one. So I think it's a good time to wrap this idea. We'll wrap on the pendulum, although we'll see. Knowing me, be here till Friday. So, okay, so the pendulum's going right. So for a while you say, fake it till you make it. That will get it to where you shift your physiology, you shift your focus, and you just do better. Things just get better. But then you hit a ceiling with that. It's almost like an offer that went stale. You hit a ceiling with it, and you're no longer progressing. And why? Because you're trying too hard. It's like you're a try-hard now. So then what happens is you say, for the next 2 or 3 months, focus on just being you. But see, what's happened is it's like blowing into a balloon. You've expanded your range. So what's happened is, here's what it looks like pragmatically. Someone, if they start and their communication looks like this, hi guys, how's it going? Okay, be louder. Hi guys, how's it going? Well, then if you say, okay, use fake confidence and act fucking crazy. Hi guys, how's it going? Well, then later when you dial that back, they're like, hi guys, how's it going? Did you guys catch what I did there? Yeah. So the first one's kind of like this bandwidth. Second one's like, and then the third one's like in a stable way. They've now stabilized this. So the stabilizes you at an expanded range. Yep. Okay? So someone like, say, LeBron James, because he can be explosive, he doesn't have to be explosive all the time to know that LeBron's explosive. You know the LeBron walk, what's he do? He's like all that stuff, right? So when he walks in, even at a state of repose, you can feel the kinetic potential emanating off of them. If you're a great speaker, people can feel that you could project, but are choosing not to. There's a very, very big difference between someone who could project their voice and is choosing not to versus someone who can't. There's a very, very big difference between a guy where people could tell that you could express sexuality and that you're absolutely comfortable expressing sexuality, but you're choosing not to express sexuality, versus someone who is totally disconnected and has shame around their sexuality. So you might tell someone, learn how to own your sexuality and whatever adventure that could lead to. But then at a certain point you say, hey man, dial it back. You don't need that anymore. Just be a little more hard to get. Well, I thought you said express sexuality. No, be more hard to get. Well, what if you just go always hard to get all the time? Well, now all of a sudden you start to get fear around owning your sexuality. Maybe it's time to push the pendulum the other way. So in my journey, I was always going between having some structure, then being completely no structure. High energy and range of expression, absolute congruence. Owning sexuality, being extremely hard to get. And it's always this pendulum that's going back and forth, and it's like this infinite loop, and you are growing and evolving into your full Super Saiyan character, like Dragon Ball Z, via that loop. And it's a really, really cool journey, guys. It's a lot of fun. And what happens, what we try to show you here as speakers and as communicators is, I guess what you would have seen this weekend is, you know, if you remember, I came in here and I did about 2-3 hours of improvised stand-up comedy. Then we did a more spiritual speech about church, about religion, spirituality. Then we did some business speeches and talked about how to just step up and make a bunch of cash. Then right here, I try to show you nuances of social skills. And every single speech that we do, I try to show you something a little bit different, and I try to show you a really, really wide range. You ever notice that my videos all have a different energy, a different flow, a different style? It's like almost like it's the same guy, but a bit of a different guy in different videos. That is a process of experimentation, which is identical to how I am when I'm going out socializing. I'm playing with different energies, I'm trying different things, and I'm having fun with it. So you see people that are like, oh, you know, I just want to, you know, get this down in like a week. It's like, no, it's a lifelong hobby. It's meant to be fun. It's not, there's no end point. I do things like free tours because I want to test and try different speaking skills. I created the free tour, the free seminars I've done over the years because I love it. The same way that I love to go out and socialize. It was just a hobby for me where I could practice. But people get benefit too. You know, if you go out and you make everyone at the club have fun, you invite them to, they get value, you get value. You create a free seminar series, people in the audience get value, you get value. They get to learn from you. And then likewise, did you guys enjoy also getting to come up here and work on your public speaking? Yeah. There you go, right? So the basic thing I'm trying to show you is themes here in conclusion, to tie together threads, pendulums, paradoxes, every truth is about a half-truth, universal truths that may not be relevant in the physical reality of the market, and just enjoying the journey of building your social skills, your communication. Communication is a great journey. You'll continue to get better. You'll continue to improve. And it's just this fun thing that gets better every year. And unlike a lot of people who maybe are into a sport, where in the sport, you know, they hit a physical limitation, communication, things like stand-up comedians, public speakers, communicators, they can get better way into old age. So it's such a fun hobby. It's such a lifelong hobby. I would invite all of you guys to be a part of it. And with that, we will wrap this weekend. You guys have a good time? Yeah! Thank you guys very much for being here, guys. Thank you so much. A lot of fun. Thank you for making out this one, bro. Good to see you again, man. Yeah, it's fun, guys. Thanks, bro.
It's fun, man.
Thanks, brother.
Great show.
Thanks, guys.